what we have is a family structure where to be a black child who was born to and raised by your married biological parents through your 18th birthday is now the exception, not the norm. This is the case as you go from state to city to city. And even where I am right here in Washington, D.C., it's 77% of black children are born to unmarried parents. And what's interesting about that is, particularly for a city that talks so much about racial equity, it's actually 83% of white children who are born to married parents. So that's a 70 percentage point gap. And one of the things that I talk about in the book is the fact that family structure is one of the few areas and few social outcomes where progressives on the left have no interest in discussing, racial disparities or racial inequities. So that's part of what we see right now. And again, just because a child is born to unmarried parents doesn't mean that they don't have a father involved or any of those other things. But what it does mean is that there are millions of children starting life within a family structure that does not provide the ideal environment for them to flourish.
Absolutely. And you argue that the black family instability is not simply an economic problem. Can you speak to that issue?
Yeah, so one of the things that I looked at is some of the data from past decades. And what you saw in 1960, the black poverty rate was about 55%. In that same year, about 80% of black children were born to married parents, so born within wedlock. You fast forward and what you see is almost a scissor effect where as poverty has gone down, the non-marital birth rate has gone up. So now the black poverty rate is about 18%. And as I said, close to 70% of black children are born to unmarried parents. So one of the things that I say in the book, I pose a hypothetical question. I said, okay, who would be more likely to be married and have 5 children with his wife? The typical NBA player or NFL player today, or his great-great-grandfather who was a sharecropper in the Deep South in the 1940s? The answer obviously is the latter, which tells me that it's not purely a financial issue. Sure, economics are important, but that did in effect was displace men, and in this case black men, from their rightful God-given role as providers for their home. And that set into motion a decades-long sort of pattern of family formation that moved men out of their primary vocations as husband and father and moved the government, both through elected officials and unelected bureaucrats, into that role as a substitute head of household.